You are not your thoughts. So this is a really important piece of information for you to know on your journey to become more connected to who you truly are. So when I first heard this, you are not your thoughts, I thought, what the, I just didn't get it. My thoughts were everything that I identified with as my personality, that because I'd never really thought about it or analysed it, I thought I was kind of born in this way, So when I first heard that I'm not my thoughts, I thought, well, I just don't get it. So who am I? I first heard this piece of information when I joined a Buddhist community. I was starting to take responsibility for my life and think, I can't continue like I am. So I started to search out help and support, and I found myself wanting help with meditation because I'd heard that might help me, and I ended up in a Buddhist centre. And I was there for several years, and I actually started to train for ordination. And maybe I'll talk about that in a different video because I left that path. Yeah, I will talk about that in a different video. But this piece of information, I am not my thoughts, just opened up a whole new world for me. Because let's think about it. If you stop and analyse the majority of your thoughts, I bet they're just like mine were. I bet you're just playing around rehashed conversations from the past, going over stuff. Oh, I should have done that differently. I wish I'd done that better. Or you might just be ruminating about the future, but you might be on this loop of thinking that never actually results in a conclusion or puts you off into action. It's just like this constant dribble of stuff going on. You see, that overthinking is a habit, just like any other, your brain can just get into a habit of just thinking, but not actually getting us to anywhere that's worthwhile, And also we can have very negative beliefs about ourselves. And so, because we are not our thoughts, isn't that wonderful? Because if I had been my thoughts years ago, I would have been miserable, neurotic, judgmental, and blaming everyone else. And guess what? That's exactly what I was. I was all these things, this collection of negative thoughts. But I thought they were me. And so this is why I didn't love myself very much. I mean, there's loads of reasons why I didn't love myself very much. But I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to be a happy person. And so, but the mess in here, I could never be who I wanted to be with that going on in my head. And so this knowledge opened up a whole new world for me. And I noticed that there were two me's. There was the one that was lost in the thoughts, and also the one that could recognize that I was lost in thoughts. Now, this awareness, this is really important information. This awareness is one of the first steps to coming back home to who you truly are. To recognize that there's a part of you that can just be obsessed with the self that is thinking all the time. And then when you step back, there's another part of you that recognizes that that's happening. So there has to be a different awareness, doesn't it? So in my work, I'm often talking about awareness practices and meditation as an awareness practice. So this is the first thing you can start doing. Start to analyze yourself and look at yourself as a witness. And start to notice who you really are. And start to look at your life and how your thoughts and beliefs about yourself and others are creating a life for you. And if that life isn't what you want, where's the thing you have to change? Not the external parts of your life. Oh, if I get another partner, another job, if I move house, if I lose weight, if I, blah, blah. If I change something outside of myself, then I'll sort it all out. No. We have to start with what's in here and in here, in our thoughts. And so, start noticing that voice that puts you down. That voice that says you will never find happiness unless. And look at your beliefs about the world. Do you have beliefs like all men are untrustworthy or all women will hurt me? I'm looking at my notes here. And you know, the political world as well. The world is out to get me. This government just doesn't want to support me, but this government will. You know, all these thoughts, they are creating the world that you live in. And if you're here listening to this, then I suspect it's because the world that you're living in is not one that you want to live in. So as I unraveled my thoughts, and this has been going on for several years, I began to realize, oh my goodness, I was incredibly negative. I was negative about everything. I just had this underlying commentary that I would never have anything that I wanted, that nothing worked out for me, that the other people, the shiny, happy people on Instagram and Facebook, they had everything going on in their life, and I could never have it. And I used to just feel so miserable because I couldn't have what I perceived as other people having. And I realized that I was making a victim out of myself without knowing it. So how could I ever be happy? I couldn't. And I thought, you know, how can I be lovable? Well, I didn't even love myself. And I just had this underlying belief that I was always, always, always doing something wrong. You might recognize some of this in yourself. And I also felt ashamed and guilty because my thoughts were so horrible in a way, because it started making me judgmental and jealous about other people. Like if other people started to have a bit of success in their life or met a new man, or I'd be like, oh, that's great. But part of me would just be like a bit peed off, you know, well, why doesn't this happen to me? What about me? Oh, it was horrible. I'm surprised I just, oh gosh, I was like this for decades. I don't know how I've lived really. So when you bring this awareness to yourself, you start to recognize patterns. So that's the first step. Starting to notice how you color your world. And then I realized, well, how could I love myself if I believed ultimately that I was unlovable? And I really thought I was unlovable because in that state I was. And this is why I suffered from depression. I've shared that I tried to commit suicide twice. And I really just couldn't understand the point in living. It's horrendous really to live like that. And then the second most important piece after this awareness is this understanding of this other self that is separate and underneath all that thought. We have a part of us, I want to call it, I don't know, you can call it your higher self, your intuition, your wisdom, your true self, the divine in you. You can call it whatever you want. But the thoughts and beliefs are conditioned on top of that, depending on your environment. So I'm going to go into childhood in much more detail in other videos, but your childhood is one of the first places, the first containers that you started to learn these beliefs about yourself. That's where it comes from, you know. So that's something else we can go into. So just think about that. Think about your beliefs that there's something wrong with you or you're not good enough, and just start linking those back to your environment growing up. And you'll find that there's this connection there. So please remember that there is a self beyond those beliefs. They're not you. They're a habit that you've accumulated. They're a belief system that you've accumulated because of your response to your environment. Yeah, and that's really important. And then you take that through adulthood, and it starts to colour your world in that way. And this self is naturally connected to an energy, a life force. Now, when I was stuck in my head, I wasn't even aware that I had a body. And I know that might sound daft. I did yoga every day. I was very fit and went to the gym a lot. I used my body a lot, but I wasn't connected to it as the mind body, where my emotions are in my body and my mind, of course. But our life force, our heart, our sense of self, which all lives around here, didn't ever think about it, didn't know I had to think about it. And now that I've started unraveling who I think I am, there's this wonderful energy in me and in you that is just buzzing with life. And guess what else it's buzzing with? Love. It's buzzing with unconditional love. That's what you are. But you can't see it. You can't feel it when you're trapped in your head. And this self can overcome any limitation that the mind has placed on it. You know, that part of your psyche that is just thinking all the time. But you've got to start first. It starts to unravel in itself. You know, once you're on this path, you have to do a lot of work at the beginning, but then eventually it just starts to take on a momentum of its own as you start to flow in this universal life energy. Because it's not just in me, of course. I'm not separate from the energy around me, and neither are you. So we're all flowing in this life energy. And where does that come from? Well, it comes from when creation was first born, when it was first created. Whoever knows, you know, about, the Big Bang. I don't know what to call it really, but when this existence in this time and space came into fruition, we're part of that, aren't we? And this left me just reeling. Once I started to connect with this, I'm just like, oh my God, I've been fighting myself and my life. I've been hating who I am. And then I started to get somewhere, because I started to think, well, I can change who I am. I'm just going to kind of pretend to be a better person. I did that for a while. And then that's not the right way either. I mean, it did help me start to disconnect from thinking that I'm just up in here. But once you fully accept that there is a you that is separate from your beliefs and your thoughts, and you start to try and connect with that you every single day, several times a day, like a way of life, your life will start turning around. I promise. It's a guaranteed. You know, we read all these self-help books, we do all the stuff, but once you get it, it's guaranteed that you will connect to your life. And this is true for everyone on this planet. This is true even for, you know, the world leaders that are living out their beliefs and stuck patterns from their childhood on the world stage. You know, most of our world leaders have not been doing this work on themselves. They're trapped in the I am right, I know what's best belief system. And they're hiding down all their vulnerabilities. So it's true for absolutely everyone. And this is what spiritualism has been talking about for thousands and thousands of years, hasn't it? But this message has got lost. I don't even like the word spiritualism, but I don't know what else to call it, because this message that there's an us, there's a divine us, has got corrupted over, you know, thousands and thousands of years through power. You know, we've had in place that we've just had a new pope throned. Is that the word? And I don't know much about it, but just something doesn't sit right with me. We don't need a special person to connect us to the divine, because it's in you, it's in all of us. So it's just a load of BS. You know, that is disempowering, that we revere a normal man who is supposedly more connected to the divine. Yeah. You are the divine. I am the divine. And he is the divine. In equal measures, you know. So, yeah, we don't need a priest or a guru or an enlightened being to connect us to what's beyond that person. All we need is the realization that this is the truth. This is absolute reality. It just is. It just is. We don't even need to analyze it more than that, really. Then, we need to then take intentioned, determined action to keep us on that path. Because look at the world we're in. We're always being dragged away from our true self. Buy this hair product and you'll be happier. You know, do this, do that, lose weight, don't lose weight, fast, don't fast, eat raw food, don't eat raw food. I mean, goodness me, is it any wonder that we're a mess? And all the stuff we see on social media. But if we can get past all that, and just know that none of that matters. It's all about journey to self. So how do we start? So the first thing is to recognize these two things. One, awareness that you are not your thoughts and your beliefs. And you don't have a set personality. You're a collection of ideas, habits, beliefs. Then recognize that there's this true self that you're aiming to realign with. It's already in you. You're never going to find it outside of you in materialistic things or even in seeking spiritualism outside of yourself. It's just all you need is you. And then you've got to recognize whenever you're leaving yourself, when are you abandoning yourself? And that is whenever you put yourself down, oh, I'm not good enough. Well, true self wouldn't say that. And if there's a genuine belief that you're not good enough, then that's where you put your effort in. You think, well, why do I think that? Oh yeah, my mum or my sister always used to say that to me. Or at school I was bullied. And you know, you start to think, oh, okay, that comes from there. It's not me. It's something I have to transcend. It's something I have to overcome because it's getting in the way of connection to my true self. And then so that's the self-work, the mindset work, the self-inquiry work. And then you look at where you've got judgments about other people. Like I used to be so judgmental. I didn't like people who allowed themselves to be seen in life. But that's because I wanted to be seen in life and I didn't have the courage to do that. So start to look at where you blame others and judge other people. Because there's a fear in you connected with that judgment that you're not facing in yourself. So you're hiding from it in yourself by pushing it away in others. You're pushing it away in yourself as well. And behind any fear, there is a vulnerability in you. And that's what this is all about as well. Getting to know your fears, your vulnerabilities, and that's where you'll find your true self. And remembering that these fears and vulnerabilities are from your childhood and they've changed and evolved as you've moved up into adulthood, but this is where they start. So, I hope you've enjoyed listening to this video, and I'm going to put it on as a podcast as well, to introduce you to the concept that you're not who you think you are, and there is another self that has everything that you need. And if you can understand this and start to connect with this part of yourself every day, and please look at my other videos because I share lots of practices that can help you start to connect with self. And please comment, leave comments, please subscribe and comment on, because I really want to create an honest, authentic community here where we're chatting about this stuff. So please reach out and leave comments and let's chat about this. And so to end with, remember that you have absolutely everything that you need to have the life that you want. And maybe the work is that you just don't know it yet. So I hope you have a wonderful day, night, whatever's going on for you at the moment. And I just want to tell you that I love you. I do love you, and I love me, and I love life. So, ciao for now. Bye-bye.